first question, I'm going to start asking them as Mubarak. Okay, there you go. So question number one is related to theological instructions.
Yes.
And the question is the following. How can we consider as-Sami', all-hearing, and al-Basir, all-seeing, as part of attributes of essence when they refer to a subset of God's knowledge, namely knowledge of all what is seen and heard, especially that God's attributes of essence should be considered as one and the same? So it would be easier to understand them if maybe they were considered as attributes of action, but if in the lecture it was said that they are attributes of essence, they are understood in this case as attributes of essence, along with the other attributes.
Thank you very much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's knowledge is considered in both essential way and as a quality of action. So we have al-ilm like sifat zati, and we have ilm like sifat fi'l. Allah's knowledge in his essence of everything is ilm dhati, but Allah's knowledge of the things after they exist, which is a concept that we abstract from the relation between Allah and what is known, it's sifat fi'l. The same is with then Sami and Basir. Allah's knowledge of what is seen or what is heard can be part of or included in Allah's essential knowledge, or it can be taken as a quality of action when something which is seen or heard exists. So it is based on our consideration, the way we look at it. What is important is to know that ilm can be ilm zati and can be ilm wasfi as a fail. So the same is with Sami and Basir.
So the question here, just to make sure we captured it, is mostly maybe the confusion is that we say that all the attributes of essence are one and the same. So, for example, they are not separate. They refer to they're inseparable from the essence, and they're one and the same. One and the same, meaning that when we say that Allah is all living, and when we say that Allah is all knowing, and this could be a mistake, maybe this is the misconception. Allah is all living, Allah is all knowing. We're not talking about different things. They are all one and the same. So if they are all one and the same, then how can we take something that is a subset of God's knowledge as one and the same also?
They are the same in existence, not in conceptualization. So all the attributes of essence are identical with each other and with the essence of God in existence. Allah doesn't have attributes which are existentially different or separate from each other. But conceptually they are different. There are different types of attributes of essence. Their meaning, their concept are different.
Question. Yes, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So in the same way that knowledge of God is different from power of God, from will of God, from life of God, then we can classify further knowledge of God. We say knowledge of God about, for example, the things which are seen, knowledge of God about the things which are heard, knowledge of God about the things which are not seen and not heard. So you can have different concepts under the concept of knowledge. But what is important is if it is taken as a quality of essence, then it is eternal and it is coming with other types of knowledge all together in his essence. But if you take it as a quality of action, then it can come when that thing exists and you abstract that knowledge from the relation that exists between Allah as the knower and that creature as the known.
Okay, thank you very much. That clears it
You're
up.
welcome.
So, next question about social wilaya. Actually, before getting to that, we have a question on a live question that we received about that is more related to aqaid, so we'll ask this one. So the question is, there is an age-old discussion between mutakallimin and Arafat with regards to ways to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the arguments defended by Arafat is that the purely intellectual method of kalam makes the road to reaching God longer and more difficult unnecessarily, whereas the experiential method of spiritual wayfaring is more direct and superior. How can one reconcile these two methods in our study of aqaid, especially when looking at the questions surrounding Tawheed?
These two cannot be separated from each other. If we don't have sound understanding of our aqaid, then there is a chance, a great chance, that gradually one may deviate from the right path, because it's not possible to improve your spirituality without having sound beliefs. And you cannot have sound beliefs just through having mystical exercises. You need both. So we have to make sure that mentally, intellectually, we grow, but also we have to make sure that we would not stop there, and we would work on our heart, purification of the heart, on our worships, on our prayer, and on constant observation of our intentions and actions.
The next question, which is related to Qada'id as well, the question is the following: Is Burhan al-Wujub wal-Imkan the same as Burhan al-Siddiqeen?
When Ibn Sina and some peripatetic philosophers, developed further the Burhan al-Wujub wal-Imkan, so they thought this is Burhan al-Siddiqeen, because it does not refer to the creatures of God. It focuses on the concept of existence. Therefore, this is Burhan al-Siddiqeen, because Siddiqun are those people who don't need to know God through creatures, through his effects or athar. But Mullah Sadra showed that Burhan al-Siddiqeen can actually be something more refined, more subtle than Burhan al-Wujub wal-Imkan. So Burhan al-Wujub wal-Imkan is good, is a good argument, but Burhan al-Siddiqeen is even more, transcendent. And because still in Burhan al-Wujub wal-Imkan, you are using the concept of Wujub and Imkan. But he had the idea that Siddiqun are those who directly reflect on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he developed his own version of Burhan al-Siddiqeen, and then even Allama Tabatabai, offered another version of Burhan al-Siddiqeen. So the idea is to see how we can refine the argument for the existence of God so well that we would only know God through God, not knowing God through his creation.
Thank you. So the next set of questions that we have are related to what we've called, we kind of gave it a nickname, social wilaya, or the social dimensions of wilaya, or the collective dimensions of wilaya. So the first question is that I'm going to ask is the following. So we said that it's question number 3, social wilaya. We said that part of the wilaya process is that the individual who practices wilaya towards the Prophet or the Imams, started by being enthralled with them and seeing their beauty, being enthralled with them. And then after that is willing to sacrifice everything for them. However, how can a high level of wilaya be given where we sacrifice everything also, or a high level of sacrifice like that, to the wali of the wali, whoever we say silmun liman salamahum harbun liman harabahum, to the wali of the wali, when we are often confronted with their imperfections that may be many. In other words, we cannot honestly say that we are enthralled with them. So this is, I was reading question 3.
Yes.
Below. Yes.
Yeah. This is very good question. It's a practical question. And my answer to this question is you don't need to sacrifice for every person who says I am a Shia or I am a Wali. But what is important, please listen to this very carefully. You don't need to sacrifice for every Shia. Say, okay, every Shia can come and take my money, can take my home, can take my, bank account. You don't need to do that. But there must be no hesitation in you to make your time, your money available for those who are true Shia and for the community as a whole. So if we have, I don't know, 150 million, for example, or 200 million or more or less Shia in the world, okay, we don't expect to give everything to every member of this 200 million community, but you cannot say there is no one in this community that is a good Shia, is a true Shia. There are many. Are you able to share your money, your time, your resources, even your life with those pious ones? Or you always find an excuse? Or if as a community we need something, are we happy to share with the community what we have? Why, for example, if my son or daughter needs education, I am happy to spend on their education, but I feel it's difficult to give this money for education of other mu'mineen's children. Suppose they are good people. I'm not saying, give it to a child who is addicted to drug or doesn't say his prayer. But imagine in the community there are some good children, youths, whose parents are not able to pay for their education. And you have gone to all the tests and you make sure that they are mu'min. Are you able to share your money with them? Or when it comes to your child, you feel very happy. When it comes to other people, you think at least a kind of bitterness you feel inside you. You feel that's difficult for me. You see, I am doing great sadaqah. I am doing great charity. I need to be rewarded for this. No. I believe actually mu'mineen, when they help each other, they should not take this as sadaqah, as charity. You should take this as part of your personal expenditure. If we feed the orphans, if we feed poor people, if we give them home and shelter, we should not think we are doing sadaqah. We are doing charity. This is my personal expenditure. This is my family. If there is sadaqah, it's for example, non-Muslims that we want to help, non-Shia that we want to help. But when it comes to the community of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, you should not take this as sadaqah. If you give money to Imam, you think this is sadaqah? The same is the family of Imam. So we have to change our outlook. A Shia has no ego, and therefore his or herself is big. And he takes everyone as part of his or herself. Every mu'min or mu'minah is part of his or herself. If I have different bank accounts, will it make a difference for me? No. I can have money in this account or that account, transfer from this account to that account, because it all is my account. Now the same is with mu'minin. Money can be in my pocket or pocket of my brother, my sister. Who is mu'min and mu'mina? I'm not talking about those who are cheating. I should not feel that I have lost anything. This is just change of the location. We have to see what is more pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is it better now it is in this account or is in that account? But it is the same account. So, as you see, this is a great also a spiritual exercise. You can get rid of your ego through this process. So, when we say, for example, we should make our pocket available to other people, I say don't make it available to everyone, but at least please try to find and increase the number of mu'minin with whom you can share what is in your pocket. Can I say I don't know and there is no such good people in the world that I can trust? So are you the only good person in the world? So this is the way that we have to approach this very important question of how to share what we have with other moments. Sharing is very, very important principle, very, very important outcome of wilayah.
Okay, so this really clears up a lot of things and actually sheds a lot of light on the previous question, but since the question is very important and it needs a lot of understanding, I'm going to also ask the other question that was asked differently.
Yes.
So, and maybe tweak it a little bit. So when we say we are walis of those who are walis of the imams, how do we determine? So this is another practical question which you touched on, but maybe more light here. How do we determine that a person belongs to the Shia creed, is such a wali? You mentioned that they're not all the same. I'll list quickly, just also for clarity, what if they are any of these cases they are outward the Shia don't practice, the practicing of rituals, maybe they practice rituals, but their political alignments could be even very dangerous to the extent that there's allegiance with enemies of Islam, or they don't have allegiance with enemies of Islam, but they cooperate with them in ways that are dangerous to the Ummah, or they're practicing rituals that could be harmful to Islam or to Shiism, working some could be systematically, or munafiq literally, systematically working against Islamic leadership, or Shias who are not Ithni Ashari. So these different groups, now, typically on a practical note, because in the previous question we said, okay, find Shias who are true Shias and learn how to share with them. Now there are others who you may not in your understanding see that. So how do we deal with those people? Should we exclude them? Should we ostracize them? How do we handle these different colors and shades? So in such cases, should we still have the wilayah you talked about, or should we have grades of wilayah towards them? In essence, how do we work with Shias who are counted as part of the Shia creed, but have many questionable practices, at least in our view, we may be wrong, that make us question whether or not they're really walis of the Imam? How do we deal with those in the gray zone, let's say, the gray area? We talked about those who are clearly mu'mineen, but now how about the others? And how do we not start falling into a lot of division between each other?
Yeah, this is very good question, but this needs a 1 hour discussion. Briefly, what I can say. There are different levels of relation with people. If there is a Shia who is not good, but he is hungry, or he is in need of some help, some advice, he is ill, his wife is ill, her husband is ill, they need help to find a good doctor, a good hospital, or financial help with treatment, I don't think we can say we don't have any responsibility because he is not a practicing Shia or his political idea is different from us. I'm not saying that if there is a person at the same time who is pious and who is very good, dedicated, they are equal. I'm not saying equal. But imagine there is only one case that needs help, or we have plenty of resources that we can take care of both. Either there is only one person in need, or we can take care of both. But one of them is not very religious, very practicing. Shouldn't we have love and care and concern for them? I think we should. The only thing that may stop us is if that person feels that we approve his bad practice, which I don't think they do. If a person who is, for example, a woman who is not observing hijab, and she sees that you, as a mu'mina and pious sister who observes hijab, help her. If she takes this as a sign of, okay, it's okay not to have hijab, then you have to be careful. But I think most of the time they actually feel embarrassed that, I don't observe hijab, but this sister with hijab is so kind with me, helps me, and at least they develop love for hijab or for hijabi people. In any way, if there is a chance that people may take your offer of help to such people as a sign of legitimizing and endorsing and naturalizing bad practices, then you have to be careful. But if it is taken as a kind of just charitable work, an act of love, an act of compassion, I think there is no limit. We should help even kuffar. We should help even animals. This is the meaning of rahmatun lil alameen. I'm not talking about priority. I'm saying that if you can, or you have plenty of resources, you should not discriminate against people because they don't have taqwa, or they don't have Islam, or they don't have, iman, and say, okay, you are not important for me. No, every creature of God is important for us. So this is one point. The second point is, many times, unfortunately, I can say 90% of the cases, we have misjudgment about people. As soon as someone is not from my group, my party, my circle, my class, I don't know, my tribe, my village, my, I don't know, for example, associates, we become very suspicious about them, and sometimes we quickly, judge about them, and we say, these are hypocrites, these are corrupt people, these are not sincere people, these are the people who help enemies. And sometimes, both may say the same thing about each other, or this may say something and the other party may say something different, but both is negative, unfortunately. I'm not saying it is common, but I'm saying this is not uncommon. And 90%, I think, both are wrong. None of them is that bad that they think. We misjudge. We are not able to see positive things, and we quickly, criticize. Many, many times it's like this. It's a constant struggle to overcome your prejudice, your suspicions, your misunderstanding. Many times you think someone has done something wrong, and then you ask that person, and he offers an explanation. And if you listen to the explanation fairly, you find that either he was not doing something wrong, or at least it was not as bad as you thought. Never judge people in their absence. Never judge people without giving them chance to explain for themselves what they do, what they believe. My understanding is that many times we label people, which is not accurate. Therefore, I am very hesitant to say if someone is known to be betraying, for example, Imam Zaman, or betraying, Shia community, you should boycott him. Because I know when I say someone is betraying, then quickly everyone says the one who doesn't agree with him or her is betraying. If I say, don't help munafiqeen, then quickly people say, okay, that person is munafiq. Even this can reach to the family. My husband is munafiq, my wife is munafiq, my brother-in-law, or I don't know, my neighbor is munafiq, imam of our masjid, or the member of trust is munafiq. Then we so frequently may use these labels that in the end of the day, nothing would remain. So, I am very hesitant to say this, but just for the sake of understanding, if really someone is known to be dishonest, someone who prefers his interest over interest of the community, his selfish interest over the interest of Imam alayhi salam and the community of Imam and Mu'mineen and humanity, if someone is known to be working closely with the enemies of Islam, yes, such people are not part of the community. But we have to be careful not to think everyone is like this, or most of people are like this, or people who don't belong to our party are like this. We have to be very careful. So this is the second point. The third point is, in such issues which are social, political, it's better to not to judge based on individual decision. It's better to do it as a group, as a community, as a team, in a collective way, under the guidance of ulama. But which type of ulama? Not everyone who has turban is alim, or alim in this category. We need to consult ulama who have dedicated their life to learning, to teaching, but they are wise, they are experienced, they have been seeing many different groups of people, they have vast contacts. This is not something that every person with little knowledge understands. This is not something that every person with young age would understand. This is not something that people without being exposed to different places, different people, different communities, different ideas would understand. This is not something that a person who has not have had very good teachers, a variety of teachers, a variety of experiences would understand. So it's very difficult that we can rely on our judgment or even judgment of some ulama. This is why everyone cannot be a good leader, even for a community. Everyone cannot be a good leader for even one country, let alone be a leader for the entire community of mu'mineen. This is why we Shia have gone always to the most knowledgeable, most pious people as our maraji, and those who believe in the idea of wilayat al-faqih, also the same for someone who would guide us in our socio-political efforts. It's not that every person can occupy that position. So we have to be very careful. And as long as there is no urging need, let us not judge people. Let us not boycott people. Let us not attack people. Be very alert. Be very cautious. Observe what everyone says and does when it comes to the public sphere. We don't want to be nosy. We don't want to get into people's private life. But when something comes to the public, be careful, be alert, don't be naive, don't be deceived, but don't judge. You don't need to judge. It's not that you are being given the task of judging. If there is an urgent need for you to judge because of the position that you have, because of the influence that you have, then make sure that you don't do it with rush, you don't do it out of emotion, you don't do it out of relations that you have developed personally with some people or against some people. You don't do it with the misguidance of some so-called leaders or ulama, and you do it as pure, as educated, as insightful, as wise as possible. It's very difficult. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always gift us with true leaders in all different levels so that we don't need to undertake any leadership position. I many times, not always, but many times say to my close friends that I just wish, someone tells me what to do in everything that I do. Go to this trip, go to this conference, write this book. I receive orders. For me is to receive orders. For me is better to make decisions. Making decision is not something easy, especially when it is about other people. So may Allah inshallah gift us always in all different levels with good scholars, good leaders, so that the burden of making these decisions would be removed from us, inshallah.
Thank you very much. That was extremely enlightening. There was one live question that is potentially going to be asked, but I didn't receive a confirmation. Our sister, there's a sister who wanted to ask about akhlaq. Sister Anna, would you like to give me the question, or would you like to ask it directly? I don't know if you hear me. I know you're with us, yes?
I could ask it.
Okay, bismillah.
There is a discussion about increasing one's light, and in this discussion you mentioned different actions that increase one's light, and I would like to understand what is actually the process of increasing light. Is it increasing the created light that we already have, or receiving, making ourselves more capable of receiving more of Allah's light? And also, should we concentrate more on removing our bad habits and deeds, or on gaining more good deeds? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any light other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is created. So when it comes to us, our light is a created light, but part of it is given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through creation. Part of it is possible to gain. We have to work for it. So part of it is given free of charge, part of it is something that you have to pay for it, you have to work for it. Having faith in truth is a great source of light. If you look for truth, if you search for truth, this is by itself light. And if you accept the truth and commit yourself to the truth, this is great light. If you believe in Tawheed, if you believe in Nubuwwah, if you believe in Ba'ad, in Imamah, these add to your light, to the light of fitrah that you have. And then if you do good actions, every single good action gives light. Even intention for good action gives light. Every good intention. Every good thought. For example, you are thinking about how to improve yourself, how to improve other people, how to improve the condition of lives of people, is light. your struggle for giving up bad habits and bad qualities, this gives you light. And if you manage to get rid of them, it gives you light. Or it stops what brings darkness. Which one is more important? The more important is qualities of the heart, but the more urgent are the actions. So there is difference. For example, when it comes to doing my wajibat or refraining from haram, this is urgent. This is not something that I can take time. Every time that I am faced with haram, I have to avoid. Every time that I have a responsibility to do, for example, my prayer, my fasting, whatever, I have to do it quickly. It's very urgent. But what is very important and is more endurable are qualities of the heart, habits, and conditions of the heart. So this may take time, but it's more important. Actions may take, just few, hours to learn, and then you have to do it. So this is about light and the priority. What is important is, in the end of the day, we are not supposed to produce light or create light. Light is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need to expose ourselves to the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need to open our heart to the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need to turn towards face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, towards wajhullah. That is the maximum we need to do. But how to do this? It comes through aqaid, through practices, through qualities. But in the end of the day, everything good is based on turning towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by our mind and heart, and then by our body. It's not, when I say by body, I'm not meaning just facing Qibla when you sit. I mean that all your organs of body turn towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your eyes, your ear, your tongue, your hand, your leg, your stomach, everything is turning towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and has the maximum encounter with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to remember, you should never be pleased with partial encounter. When there is a source of light, even if you have 1 degree of encounter, you can benefit. If you turn 2 degrees, you benefit more. You turn 3 degrees. But sometimes you need to turn 180 degrees so that you have maximum encounter with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Never be pleased with the partial encounter with Allah. Even partial encounter with Allah is amazing, but we should never be pleased with that. We should have maximum encounter with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that comes when we get rid of our ego. And a test of this is when you can make good relation with others. Because a great obstacle for having good relation with others is ego. So if you want to see that your ego has disappeared, look at the way you relate to people. Look at the way at least mu'mineen judge about you. Do mu'mineen say that this person is a person who has ego, or they say this is a person who has no ego? So you can benefit from the way mu'mineen judge about you for understanding your position, even with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, although the final judgment is always with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and no one other than Allah can really judge. But this can be an evidence. This can be a helpful sign for understanding, because mu'mineen, as mu'mineen, it's very, very hard to think that they make mistake. If every mu'min says you are a good person, inshallah you are a good person. Inshallah. And maybe this is why, if 40 people after you die say, oh Allah, we don't know anything bad from this person, please forgive him, then Allah inshallah will forgive. So either because that person was very good, he didn't do anything bad, or at least the fact that he was able to live such a life that 40 people, 40 mu'min developed good idea about him. So it means that if he had a problem, that problem was minor, and that problem was in private and was not affecting other people, was not harming other people. So inshallah, Allah will forgive that.
Thank you very much, Sheikh.
Yeah.
We have 7 precious minutes left. And if anybody has any live questions to forward, the written questions have been completed. So please, I'm gonna just give a minute if there are any final questions to share with us.
And if there is no question, I would like also to hear about anything special happening this month of Ramadan in your town. If anyone in their community or town, there is something special happening this Ramadan, I would like to know.
Inshallah, that would be great. Maybe we can open the floor if anybody has something to share. That would be great. Absolutely. Excellent. So maybe we can start city by city. We have a few cities here, so
Yeah.
not all at once, guys. Not everyone all at once, please. Please don't go all at once. But anyways, everybody's very silent right now. Maybe the people from Ottawa, maybe we can start with them. Is there anything special happening? You guys were talking about Sheikh Hassan and the different lectures with him. Any news about that? Is that going well? Anybody have any information about this? I think there was, I don't know the family name, but I believe the Sheikh's first name is Hassan.
Yes, Sheikh Hassan Douagou.
Yeah, how's that going? If people in Ottawa can tell us. Since I live in Toronto, I would say that Toronto is always thriving with many activities. It's a huge place. The Ma'sumin Center is always filled with people, and they teach the children Quran downstairs. Wali al-Asr has great programs, and that's just on the West Coast. Then there's the JCC, so there's loads of things, honestly. But nothing out of the ordinary. It's pretty much the expected for the GTA. I don't know if anybody else has anything to add. And also, it would be great to know your news, Sheikh. Now, how has it been how's it been in the UK? I know you're the one with the adventures usually. We're just in one place doing the same thing. But,
Alhamdulillah, Ramadan programs are going well here in London. Every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I speak about 10 minutes after Salat al-Zuhr and Asr, and this is about some hadith about months of Ramadan fasting from Mizanul Hikmah. So far we have had, alhamdulillah, 3 sessions, and all are put on Facebook, and also the text. So the text of 2 of them are put on the Facebook. So if people are interested, they are welcome to benefit. And the other thing is that, inshallah, from 11th of Ramadan, for 10 nights, I will speak about heaven. So if there are any questions, any ideas, any suggestions, comments, please share, because I want to take into account these questions. I have put a post on Facebook, and under that post, many people have put questions and comments. So if you have any question, comment, suggestion, anything that I can learn and benefit, please let me know. Because so far, I think the issue of heaven has not been discussed in details. Of course, these lectures would not be enough, but at least is an attempt for this, inshallah.
So I just want to say on behalf of, maybe we'll give you some news about the KLC, because that's really the thing that puts us together. So inshallah, Sheikh, now with the overseeing of our sister Fatima Habash, and with a team of people from the KLC, we're beginning to do video summaries for Understanding Quran series, because you have talked about how it's important to, do anything, read the Quran, look at the Quran, reflect about the Quran. Anything that you do towards the Quran is good. So we're taking that as a project to write video summaries for them as a start, and also to finalize the notes, and maybe even present it to you. Maybe you would be interested to compile it like the other lecture series. But this is something we wanted to give you as a surprise. And now,
Very
since
good.
you asked, we'll just kind of share it with you. But it's not necessary. I mean, we'll just compile it for our own benefit. But we're hoping maybe it could be maybe compiled even as something that maybe it should be also merged with the next series of lectures you have about the Quran. We don't know, but we'll just compile it high
Very good.
quality with references and
Very
proper
good.
translation and so on. And this is something that we wanted to do for ourselves as well, as a benefit for ourselves. So
Alhamdulillah.
that's very exciting, and we're happy to know that you are willing to consider having a summer retreat with us. That's really the biggest news for us that we had only about an hour ago. So that's really great, and we look forward to doing that.
Inshallah.
Otherwise, everybody is really working very hard to keep up. People are keeping their staying connected. There's a brother here who just sent me something. Okay, brother Zishan. Yes, so one of the brothers is actually going to be going to spend Laylatul Qadr in the holy city of Mashhad, and he wants to thank you, and he wants to thank you for giving both his wife and himself a new taste and understanding the importance of Laylatul Qadr, particularly, especially from the Understanding Quran series. And he's inshallah going to remember all of us in his du'as. Brother Zishan Mauladina, brother, if you want to directly speak, by all means you can do that, but I pass your message to the Sheikh. And since we're nearing the end of the time, it's actually 9:30 officially. We really ask for your prayers, Sheikhna, in these now and also throughout the days to come. You have you carry us spiritually, so inshallah, please pray for us, given that we can't count you as our spiritual father, inshallah, and your prayers for us are very valuable in the nights and days of month of Ramadan. So that's it from our side, and inshallah, if you can maybe pray for us and resume with whatever else you would like to share with us.
Inshallah. Thank you very much, and inshallah we pray that Brother Zishan and his wife inshallah would have a very blessed trip inshallah, and remember all the KLC members and community inshallah in their du'as in the shrine of Imam Raza. I just would like to end with some du'as. First of all, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our apologies for all our shortcomings and for anything that we didn't do it in the way that He expected from us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be always forgiving and merciful and kind with us. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to clean us and purify us in these days and nights of the month of Ramadan. We don't know of any opportunity better than these days and nights. And when it comes to ourselves, we are not hopeless, but we are very near to be hopeless. And our hope and trust only lie in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in the same way that He helps His good servants, His true servants, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us, not because we are good or true servants, but because He is great, He is very kind, He is very generous. So We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah, to enable us to witness the night of Qadr and benefit from those great gifts that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give to his lovers in the night of Qadr. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to include in the list of the decisions and the decrees he makes in Laylatul Qadr, good for ourselves, for our families, for our community, for humanity, success in every worldly and spiritual affairs of ourselves. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put an end to our suffering. The main source of suffering is separation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and distance from Hujjah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we make Allah to put an end to this suffering. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put an end to the suffering of people because of injustice, because of wars, because of conflicts, because of poverty, because of misunderstanding, because of great forces of darkness that work in the world within and without human souls. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make our generation the generation that would help in establishing the kingdom of Allah on the earth, inshallah, under the leadership of the Hujjah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah make, inshallah, our relation with Quran a relation of maximum respect and love and acquaintance and friendship. May Quran, inshallah, be our companion in dunya and akhirah, our intercessor, inshallah, on the day of judgment. And may Allah, inshallah, keep us always in the company of good people. Good people are great blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we are grateful to Allah for every single good friend, brother and sister in family, in community that Allah has given us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala include us among the people who are very grateful, very thankful for everything good that He has given us or everything bad that He has kept us away from. Our du'as will not come to an end. We have many things to ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but our time has come to an end. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us everything good that He knows and He has to offer, and maybe we don't even know and we don't have knowledge and understanding. May Allah give us all good things, inshallah, in dunya and akhirah. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillah rabbil alamin.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum
Thank you very
salam.
much. في أمان الله.
في أمان الله. التماس الدعاء.
You too.
التماس.
Salam.
سلام.